Hi everybody, Dugraz here with Dugraz Reports. Today, a bit of a long form video on my decision making process related to the Amex Platinum card and the historic 100,000 point offer, plus 10x points at gas stations and supermarkets. That's an offer that's been going around. Pretty much everybody's heard about it. Is it something I should do? I'm going to break down my thought process to how I make that decision, and you get to watch it. So most of this video is going to be spreadsheets and those kind of things with a little bit of narration. If you appreciate videos like this that get really deep into how to make those decisions, how to do the maths, put a comment down below and let me know what you think. If you think this type of video is really silly, put a comment about that too and let me know how I can improve. With that said, if you like my content, looking for epic value, those kind of things, please subscribe to the channel. Let's dive in. So you've probably heard of this offer by now, and if you're not sure how to get it, do some checking around. Some ideas might involve looking at the Frequent Miler Facebook page. You'd have to join their insiders group. Lots of people sharing their referrals. You can check other YouTube videos. I don't have a platinum card, so I can't share a referral link. But again, just search around. You should be able to find it. Don't go for the default 60,000 or 75,000. With a little bit of work, you should be able to find 100,000 MR points and then 10x points at gas stations and US supermarkets. Now, this would require a $6,000 spend. Excuse me, I misspoke, $5,000 to get that. For the sake of my decision making, things I'm going to take into consideration are I'm going to assume to hit that 5,000 spend, I would be going all in the supermarket category. That's just the way it works out for me. Other people have to think about that differently. So here's a spreadsheet that I use for a lot of my holistic decision making related to credit cards. When I say holistic, what I mean is this. When you think of taking on a new credit card, you have to think of it not in a vacuum, unless it's literally your first credit card. You have to think, what is the net result when I mix this in with my spending? In other words, if I'm not putting $3,000 on dining on my first card, but I'm instead putting it on this new card, I might be gaining something, but I gain the difference between what the old card got me and what the new card gets me. I don't get it fully. I don't get that full amount. So just as an example, you'll see here I have Sapphire Reserve listed, and I'll spend $3,000 a year on dining is my estimate. That gets 3x on dining, and if I pay myself back or use it in the travel portal, there's a 1.5 modifier. So you'll see here on a net basis, that's 4.5%. It has to be expressed as a decimal, so that's 0.045. Now, let's say that I got a new card that got 6% on dining, net effective end result. I'm not gaining 6% in dining by getting that new card. I'm gaining the difference between the two. So I'm gaining, in this example, totally made up example, I'd be gaining 1.5% or 1.5 points. That's not going to increase my cash back end result equivalency all that much. So this is what I call the original strategy for 2021. In other words, if I don't add any new credit cards, here's how my 2021 will go. Now you'll see over here a little bit over $46,000 of spend. That's not my exact budget. I kind of crafted this as like stereotypical middle class, upper middle class, suburban dad, suburban mom type spending, where you have a full-time working parent, maybe two full-time working parents or 1.5, something like that. So by maximizing all these different categories across all the credit cards that I own, down here in the corner says return on spend, I would be averaging 3.87% for a full total gain net of fees of $1,793 and change. A 3.87, almost 4% return on spend certainly isn't bad at all, but by getting new cards, can I do better? And is it worth it? So I'm going to go through this little by little here, and there will be a link to this spreadsheet and any spreadsheet, well, at least this one and the platinum one. in the description box. If you want to save a copy of that, you can look at it yourself. Use it yourself. That's why I'm doing this. So $3,000 a year is my estimate for dining, and I will have the Sapphire Reserve because I'm upgrading to that later this month, using the the pay yourself back feature to indirectly cash out on that. Amazon, I've got some on Freedom Flex or Freedom Card with Chase. And this is considering two-player mode to a degree. My wife has a Freedom. I have a Freedom that I'm planning to upgrade to a Freedom Flex any day now. And then the rest will go on Amazon Prime Visa. That does make the assumption that there'll be a category, at least one quarter for Amazon. Let's look at gas here. Estimating $2,500 a year in gas. $1,500 of that will go on the U.S. Bank Altitude Reserve. If you know anything about that card, it works well when you use mobile wallet purchases. That's basically me. I pay for all my gas with a mobile wallet through Apple Pay and get an end result of 4.5%. Here I have the American Express Blue Cash Preferred. My wife does not do Apple Wallet or any sort of mobile wallet. So when she puts gas in the car, we settle for 3%. Not bad, certainly. Got to scroll to the side a little bit here. Walmart grocery is our number one spend. We buy all of our groceries at Walmart online, and American Express does code that as grocery. If you walk into Walmart, not. But if you buy Walmart online grocery, Amex codes it as grocery. So I'm going to put as much as I can on the Blue Cash Preferred at 6%. That gets $360. I estimate based on quarterly categories, we can put $2,500 on the Freedom or Freedom Flex between my wife and I, and that'll get us 7.5%. I didn't do the full $3,000 that would be available because there's going to be some inefficiency due to the timing quarters, and then whatever's left goes on the Freedom Unlimited. As you probably know, that's a 1.5% cash back card. If you use that with Pay Yourself Back or in the portal in conjunction with the Sapphire Reserve, it's 1.5 times 1.5, which comes out to 2.25. So you'll see here how those numbers break out in terms of the end result of cash. So basically what I'm saying is I'm going to pay myself back through Chase's Pay Yourself Back feature. And if you have more questions on that, there's another video I made called Should I Pay Myself Back? That'll give you a little more detail on how that works. It's a great option. Grocery spend, this would be non-Walmart grocery, and I'm assuming my wife's Chase Freedom Unlimited has the 5% sign-up bonus on groceries until September. Chase does not consider Walmart online grocery to be a bonus category. So this $22.50 is only in local grocery stores like Fairway or Hy-Vee. If you had a Safeway, something like that, just a standalone grocery store, then whatever we can't get there would go on the, I said that backwards. Here's the rotating category. No, I didn't say it backwards. This is the Freedom Unlimited, has the 5%, 1.5 with Pay Yourself Back, turns into 7.5, whatever's left over during, this is supposed to be like when I use the Freedom Unlimited without the bonus. I just didn't know where to put it. So actually that's a mistake. It should be 2.25, not, I got the decimal in the wrong spot. 0.0225. There we go. I mean, it's only a difference of a couple bucks, $2. All right, telecom would be like cell phone bill, internet service provider, cable or satellite. All $1,400 of that goes on my Inc. Cash, 5% back, 1.5 modifier gets me this. Utilities would be non-telecom utilities. So this is gas, water, garbage removal, propane, that kind of stuff. All of that goes on my U.S. Bank Cash Plus card, which gives a flat 5% back on utilities, getting me this figure here. That's my utility player. Office spend would be Staples, Office Max, that kind of stuff. Have a little bit of that throughout the year. And by the way, this is just natural spend. I'm not talking about manufactured spend or buying Visa gift cards. Not that I never do that, but this spreadsheet is just for the purpose of natural spend. Travel would be paid travel. And even though I want to travel, very little of it is paid travel. I want to use my points to travel. So I'm estimating $1,000 of paid travel. Sometimes, like, say cash back on that last card we saw, I'll put it in a savings account, and then like this one here, that $210 will go in a savings account and be spent on travel at some point in the future, and that'll get rewards. Not much. There you go. U.S. Bank Altitude Reserve, 3% on travel, 1.5 modifier with the real-time rewards. If you have questions on any of these and how I'm getting these numbers, please ask them. No category spend is pretty self-explanatory. Basically, there is no bonus category. So down here, I have $12,100 of no category spend. I estimate I could put about $3,000 of that on the U.S. Bank Altitude Reserve, use mobile wallet, and get the 4.5% net. Anything else just goes on the Chase Freedom Unlimited and gets the standard 2.25%. And then pharmacy spend, we do spend quite a bit at pharmacies. We have some medicines we take, about $4,500 a year. Plus, I do buy home goods at CVS Pharmacy too, try to get deals there. The Freedom Flex and the Freedom Unlimited both get 4.5% back effectively. So that brings us to our end results over here. That's how we calculate all this cash back here. And any of the cards that have annual fees are listed here. It does the math for you, gives the end result. Like if you're wondering why is the Sapphire Reserve a negative number, this is the net annual fee after the travel offset. This is the net annual fee after travel offset. Obviously, the Sapphire Reserve I keep not because it makes money, but it turns all the existing points that I have into a 1.5 modifier. Credits would be like any credits I get through the card itself, other than the ones that just come right off the top. Like with the Sapphire Reserve, there's a DoorDash credit. I don't give full credit for that. I use very few of those credity type things. I give partial credit. I give $40 worth. So the net cash back after fees plus the credits equals a full total gain of this figure here, a little over $1,700. That figure divided into this figure, how much I spent, is 3.87%. This figure will remain static. So that's where I stand right now. And then basically to figure out the net benefit of a new credit card, I modify this chart. Let's look at an example. I have a new spreadsheet open. I call it the 2021 CC, that's credit card Platinum Alone Strategy. So if I add the US Bank, not US Bank, if I add the American Express Platinum card with the offer of 100,000 MR points and 10x on gas and grocery. I believe you can, in theory, go up to 50,000 spend for the gas and grocery. I'm not even going to get close to that, or maybe it's 15. Either way, the minimum spend is 5,000. I'm going to clear the minimum spend and then a little over that, but not a lot more. That's just realistic to the spending pattern in our life. As you probably know, with American Express, you can't really do manufactured spend. You can't go out and buy gift cards. They'll claw that back. So it has to be natural spend. $5,000 is a little hard for us to hit over 6 months. Okay, it's not hard. If I took it away from, all sorts of categories, I sure could, but it's a little hard to do. It maybe not hard, but it is a decent sized hit is a better way of saying it. Now, I made another video about why I'm not a huge fan of Amex MR points. The question is it so good now that I can't resist? The reason it's not great for me is my family does not do aspirational travel. We're not going to Japan or the Maldives or anything like that. So we're not getting the 3-4 cents per point. We're probably doing road tripping in the United States, or I just want to take it as cash. Well, cash is a bad option. So if I did this, I would probably use it at a Hilton. And I've got a note down here about why I'm picking the value I am. I'm assigning each member reward point a value of 1.16 cent per point for this exercise. This is because if you transfer from Amex to Hilton, it's at a 1-to-2 ratio. Hilton points on their own have a value of about half a cent per point. So turning 1 into 2 and then half a cent per point goes back to a 1, essentially. So it's just break even. With automatic Hilton status comes 5th night free on point stays, and I mark that up at 80% of 20%. So you get an extra 20% value because you may not always be getting the exact time you want. There's going to be a little inefficiency there. So I'm giving that fifth night free 80% of its value. Does that make sense? I hope it does. So I'm valuing the fifth night free that comes with your automatic Hilton status at 80% of 20%, which is 16% extra value. So that's how I come up with 1.16 cents per point, assuming I use it all at Hilton. So here's the original strategy I just showed you a bit ago. I'll leave that tab open. Here's the new tab with the Amex Platinum and where I'm going to put that spend. I'm not going to put any on dining. In fact, we're going to go all the way over here I'm going to go to grocery and then back off. Now, I'm assuming and hoping that Amex Platinum also treats Walmart online grocery as grocery, just like the Blue Cash Preferred does. They're both Amex, so I have to assume it does. So I'm going to shift 5,000 of my spend onto that card. Basically, that'd be the first half of the year, and then 5,000 will stay with the Blue Cash Preferred in the second half of the year. That does pull $1,000 away from 6% cash back, but it's 10x points on groceries. So basically, that's a value of 0.116, or basically 11.5 cents for every dollar spent. And that comes out to a pretty healthy $580. And then I'd throw as much gas as I can on there during the first 6 months, which I'm kind of estimating would break down like this. And I'm pulling value away from some other things, but it's much better. Again, that 11.6 cents per dollar spent effectively does help there. But I don't believe I'm putting any of it in any other category, because none of the other categories, if I'm valuing it at 1.16 cents per point, I mean, that's worse than my no category spend on the Freedom Unlimited, which is at least this much, 2.25 cents per point. So that's where all my spending in the Amex Platinum goes. And then we're going to scroll all the way to the right. And I have some credits in here. I have the annual fee here, which will come off the bottom line. And then the way I determine credits, I'm going to have to open a new tab here to show you that. So here's the credits available on the card. There's the $180 PayPal credit. I value that at $120 because we're already so far into January. Even if I applied tomorrow, I'm not going to be able to get it the first month. I value it at 83% because there's going to be some inefficiency, buying things that are a little more expensive than I normally would have. So I'm going to value it at $120. This is kind of key to the whole exercise, is what do you think credits are worth? And if you say every credit is worth 100% of its value, I find that hard to believe. Then we have the Uber credit. Now, I've literally driven on Uber once in my entire life, so I would use that all at Uber Eats. I would say probably 8 of the 15 available periods, because this will extend into next year too for the first year. That'd be 53%. So I'm valuing it at 53% of its value. The airline fees, I value that at half of its value because I don't really get incidentals for airlines. I know there's ways around it, but who knows if that'll be shut down or not. Like I could buy, a really inexpensive Southwest ticket and then cancel it, and I'll have credit with Southwest. That's probably about all I'll do, because I'd get 200 this calendar year, 200 next calendar year, because my year of ownership would lap into January of next year. So I value that at 50%. The Saks Fifth Avenue credit, again, I'd get first half of this year, second half of next year, and the first few days of January the following year. So in theory, worth $150. I went and looked at Saks Fifth Avenue. There is nothing I would get under $50 that wouldn't just be frivolous, nothing that I would buy otherwise. So I value that at nothing. I consider that to be a completely frivolous credit. Now, I've got some stuff down here if I add in the Schwab later, but for this example, I'm not. So $440 of credits. And then back to here, how I actually calculated the credit, it would involve the sign-up bonus. So if we pull up a calculator, we know the 100,000 point, sign-up offer comes with the card. Obviously, you have to move the decimal 2 to the left to get the cash equivalent. And then I valued it at 1.16 cents per point. So that's 1,160. On this tab back over here, you'll remember I said the credits themselves, airline credit, Uber, PayPal, I valued at 440. So back to the spreadsheet, that's how I got 1,600. And I plugged that in here to the spreadsheet, what I value the credits. And credits includes sign-up bonuses also, just in case that wasn't clear. So pull that down. This is the cash back from spend. This is credits and sign-up bonuses, comes to this amount. My spending remains exactly the same, but the return on spend goes up to 6.93% overall, looking at everything. So remember my original strategy, the 46,300, that stays the same, doesn't change. I added a line, that's why it went down slightly. So that's static. Unless you're manufacturing spend, that will not increase. That'll stay the same. But I go from a 3.87% return on spend to a 6.93. In terms of the full total game or the raw net end result, I go from a little over 1,700 to a little over 3,200. Now that's kind of a big deal. That's a decent amount of moolah. My mental math skills are not good right now. So 3,200, 1,700, doing some rounding here. But on a net basis, if I get the Amex Platinum and use it at Hilton, I'm getting $1,500 more value than I would have if I'd gotten no credit cards at all this year. Now that's good, and you've taken the opportunity cost into consideration, but we need to go even further and say, what if I didn't go for the Amex Platinum, but I went for something else? And part of the issue with the Amex Platinum is you have 6 months to spend $5,000, and that, in order to maximize it on groceries, groceries is not one of those things you can buy 6 months worth of groceries all up front. I mean, I don't know, maybe some people stockpile and do, but I don't feel like you can. So it kind of dominates your credit card strategy for the whole year. I think if I got the Amex Platinum, I would just be committing to that. And by the way, it would probably be in my wife's name, actually. I'd put it in player 2, her name, because I am over Chase 524 right now, and I really want to grab another card in May when I fall back to 424. She doesn't have as much of a dilemma. So now I'm going to compare it to some conditions where instead of getting the Amex Platinum, I get something else, or maybe something in addition, like the Schwab card. Let's take a look at that. So if you've made it this far into the video, you're probably nerdy enough to know that there's another type of American Express Platinum card called the Charles Schwab American Express. It's the one on the right, just ignore the one on the left. And this is a card that is very similar to the Platinum card, but one difference is it lets you cash out your points at a higher level. So if you look down here, it has what they call invest with rewards. If you cash your points out to a Charles Schwab account, you get a 1.25 modifier. In other words, every MR point would be worth $1.25. Here's an example that shows that. I don't know why they don't just come out and say it. Also, bear in mind that it does have a sign-up bonus of 60,000 member rewards points. This one does not get any of those boost ups on grocery or gas. So, wrong screen. If I revise my strategy, now I'm going to include the Amex Platinum and the Amex Schwab Platinum here, and we'll just take a look at how that changes things. Not a lot, but enough to make a difference. So in other words, what I'm saying is this strategy would be apply for the Platinum now, maybe in the later part of the year, apply for the Schwab Platinum. You have to overlap that first year enough I can transfer points from the regular Platinum to the Schwab and then cash out. So this is a much bigger commitment. Now I'm committing to $10,000 of spend instead of just, wait, is that right? Did I spend $3,000 or $5,000? I can't remember. It's still $5,000. Okay. So yeah, I was right, $10,000. So let's just move along and take a look. So in order to come up with that extra $5,000 of spend, I'm just guessing I'm going to have to put $1,000 on the grocery bill, from the grocery bill onto the Schwab. And that's it. It's really easy to calculate the point totals here. It's 1.25. And you can see over here, it changed the calculation for my regular Platinum also. And $500 I have to pull off of utility, and then $3,500 from no category spend. You're probably thinking, Doug, why don't you just take all of it from no category spend? Again, you have to do it in 6 months, and there's just some situations where you can't spread out your payment as much as you'd like. You can't manufacture spend, you can't force your bills sooner or later. So it might be better than that. I might be able to get some of it into that no category spend, but I'm being pretty conservative and assuming I'm going to have to dip into my utility and grocery a little bit. So going with those figures here and then looking at the credits, if I revise the credits a little, the Amex Platinum credits are exactly the same. There's also the same amount of Uber credit and airline credit. Again, I don't use Saks Fifth Avenue, and I'm not going to assume by the time we get to the end of the year that PayPal credit will still be around. It might or might not. So that's how I came up with the value. It's $760 plus the 60,000 points, which I already did the math, and that translates to 1070. So add that together. We're looking here at this figure for credits. The cash back plus the credits, the full total gain is there. The spend remains the same. And we have an 8.18 return on spend. So again, just to review, if we're looking at our original strategy here, 3.87% return on spend. If we do just the Amex Platinum by itself, the way I would intend to use it, 6.93 return on spend. And if I go with the Schwab, 8.18 return on spend. So now I need to go back and do yet another comparison, looking at the cards I was planning to add coming into this year, not including the 2 Amex cards, and see how that compares so I can get closer to reaching my final decision. So lastly, let's look at what my strategy would have been coming into this year, or I guess you'd say what I was thinking of doing before this out of the blue Gigantor Amex offer came along with the Platinum. And that is, I was planning to add, at a minimum, the IHG Rewards Club card based on my last 524 slot that was popping open in May, and then a Freedom Flex for my wife, Mrs. Dugras. That's the 2 cards I was planning on going with. Now, if you're not familiar, the IHG card earns 140,000 IHG points with $3,000 spend. I won't go into a lot of detail on my reason for getting it, but I do have a whole other video where I think for a typical kind of road tripper, middle American, suburban dad type person, you can get as much, if not more, value out of IHG than Hilton or Marriott or a place like that. And then the Freedom Flex, most people know about. That's one of those rotating category cards, the newest iteration from Chase. It's a MasterCard, 5% on rotating categories, and there's some other benefits as well, which I won't dive into right now. But take a look down here of how I'm figuring out the IHG points. Again, something that's important to you. Don't just go with the IHG or the points for a particular card because the points guy says so. Figure it out on your own. I'm using a value of 0.87 cents per point for this exercise. Now, this is based on this says Hilton value. That should say IHG. Let's change that. An IHG value of 0.7 cents per point. That's what I value it at. Some people are lower. A few people are higher. I know a lot of times you buy in at about half a cent or 0.6 of a cent per point. But I found if you're just even slightly picky, you can find properties that are worth 0.7 of a cent per point. But with automatic IHG status comes a 4th night free on point stays. So I'm going to mark up that extra 25% value because that one to me is really easy to use. So if I take 0.7 of a point, what I think they're worth, times an extra 25% value, overall that comes to 0.875 cents per point. Just for easy math, I'm going to round that down to 0.87 cents per point. Since that's less than 1 cent per point, I'm going to strive to use that on no category spend. I think I can swing that. And therefore, the 140,000 point sign-up bonus would be valued at $1,218 for yours truly. So let's just move along here. Where would I have put that IHG Rewards Club spend? Again, it's only $3,000. It's not that much. I think I can shove that all in the no category spend. Gets me a whopping $26 in cash back from the actual spend. But more importantly, I took the $89 fee here. Gets me this much in credits. a little over $1,200. And then looking at the Freedom Flex, that one's easy. It's chase points. So since I would have a Sapphire Preferred coming into this year, at least, excuse me, I have the Sapphire Preferred. I hope to have the Reserve. Let's see, where did I put the spend for that? I put $300 here, and that's more than enough because you actually need $200. So I'm not sure why I listed $300, but let's roll with it just for the sake of math anyway. I wrote 1.5, but actually that's not right. Should be 0.0225. I don't know why I listed it that way. I guess I was sleepy. I mean, it only makes like $2 difference, but whatever. And I put another 200 on pharmacy. This much cash back. Net cash back, not much. Credits there. Now, how did I come up with $450 in credits? Well, the sign-up bonus itself is 20,000 points. And then I have to take that times 1.5 since I would pay myself back by sending it over to my Sapphire Reserve. And that's 300. And then I would also refer my wife. So I would get a referral bonus of 10,000, which translates to $100 if you cash it out. But if you use the 1.5 for pay yourself back, that'd be 150. So 300, 150 add together, 450. So if I ignored Amex completely and just went with these two cards, I call it the two small card strategy, I would have this much full total gain or full total, net cash equivalent. Spend stays the same. My return on spend would be 7.19. So if we're stacking these together, just going on return on spend, I would move my two small over here. So if I stick with, if my original strategy or a strategy of no new cards, 3.87, a little over $1,700. The two small credit card strategy, 7.19, a little over $3,300. If I get the Amex Platinum all by itself, whoop, I need to swap those. So the Amex by itself is 6.93. The two small cards is 7.19. And the Platinum and Schwab together is 8.18. So again, do nothing is obviously the worst. Not terrible, but there's better ways to maximize your cash. If I do the Platinum all by itself, I walk away with $3,200. If I do the two small cards, I walk away with $3,300. If I do the Platinum and the Charles Schwab, I walk away with $3,700. So as I'm making this decision, there's all kinds of thoughts going through my brain. One thought is, if I get the Amex Platinum, is there a chance I could do better than 1.16 cents per point even if I don't get the Schwab? Obviously there's probably people screaming at their screen right now, of course you could do better, Doug. Don't be stupid. Maybe we would take some trip where, I fly on one of the transfer partner airlines or, one of those weird strategies where it's not that weird, but, say use British Airways points to fly on American or something like that. Or maybe we'd fly to Honduras. I don't know. So maybe, I'd find a better use. And that's something I have to just kind of think over. That's highly subjective. If I go for the Schwab strategy, I can't get any other cards all year. It would just be too much spend. I'm literally redirecting $10,000 at a minimum, probably more. I would want to just kind of garden and take it easy. Do I want to commit my entire year to this kind of thing? Just not really sure. Or do I stick with what I was thinking of coming into the year? I feel like this would make me happier. But, the math says if I'm just going with math, I should do this. I should get the Amex Platinum now towards the end of the year, the Schwab, combine them, cash it all out, be happy with my $3,700. The question is, I don't know that I would still use Amex moving forward because I'm such a domestic budget traveler. I'd probably be canceling the card. So do I want to churn and burn? I don't know. I'm still deciding on that. So I want to get some feedback. I'd like to hear from all of you guys out there. What do you think on two fronts? I'd like to hear, one, was this exercise helpful? Walking through like hyper analytical, doing all the math, not just one card in isolation, but looking at your entire portfolio of cards. Are these spreadsheets helpful? Is this thought process helpful? If I add this card, I have to pull from here. So I'm getting some gain, but not getting 100% of the value as an increase. There's a little bit of an opportunity cost there. Again, I'll make all of these spreadsheets available. You can't edit them, but you can go to the file menu and make a copy in Google Sheets. Link in the description box. And then secondly, right here, the platinum card. What do you think? Are you going for it? Should I go for it? I'm just like, I don't know, man. Get the platinum card, $550. And then I switch over and get the Charles Schwab card later in the year. Another $550, dropping $1,100 in annual fees. And yeah, I took that into consideration in my calculations. The math says I should, but it's just such a weird strategy just to blow through that. Any input would be helpful. Put a comment down below. If you like this video, please thumbs up. If you like me, please subscribe to this channel. And as always, may your spending be frugal and may your points be plenteous. Check you out later.